Welcome back, guys. We're here at the LCK Kingzone, able to take a really long game up against SANDBOX, and it ends up that Deft picks up the MVP. We weren't super happy about that, especially some of the Devourers. Even in that last fight, TusiN was just carrying the team pretty hard, but either way, damage is damage. And I suppose that it goes the way of Deft this time around, but either way, LS, we're ready to jump into pick ban for game number 2.
That was very fast, and kicking things off here, Jace now being banned away by Kingzone. And we'll see how SANDBOX now want to reply on the red side. Lucian banned away by them. Kingzone now banning away the Thresh, so not looking to maybe first pick it. Gragas, very interesting.
Yeah, didn't see that at all in the first game. Picked or banned, but SANDBOX have a different set of red side bans, it seems, up against Kingzone.
Blue side is usually the side that has more target ban control, whereas red is more forced into targeting the meta due to the lack of super massive power picks that are available. Zoe, oh, that's very interesting when you ban away the Zoe, although it is a target at Dove, and now Alistar banned away. This means that there's quite a few champions left open. Kalista, Galio, you have Yasuo, LeBlanc.
Saw a bit of Yasuo first picks, but this time around it is going to be the LeBlanc first pick, which we also have seen a bunch of. Some pretty insane win rates so far at 68%. This time Pawn is going to be jumping back onto that pick. Is 2-1 so far on that one, and it looks like OnFleek, considering a champion that's not Camille, I feel like that's a good idea.
Looks like he will indeed lock in the Lee Sin. I'm getting a lot of vibes that I got about 2 years ago. I can't remember what the name of the jungler was, but he primarily almost only played physical damage champions. Was it Lyra?
2017?
I think it was 2017 spring. Or it might have been summer 2016. One of the Korean junglers only played physical damage champions. It was very interesting. And it let you actually prepare very well against them when it would come into the draft, because you knew that physical damage would come out. But anyways, that aside, Ryze locked in for SANDBOX, and on the flip side for Kingzone, they managed to get themselves the Ezreal and the Thomas Kench. And now SANDBOX are going to reply with the Sivir for Ghost. So SANDBOX going with their tried and true tested type of team composition, which is raw aggression, mid-rangey type feel.
Sivir not doing too well. I think I saw 5-14 down there at the bottom, something like 26% win rate, but that doesn't mean everything. Stats aren't always the name of the game. We'll see what else they can draft around that kind of Sivir comp here, but always a fan of the old Gen Z thing with the Ezreal, Tahm, Kench, and how safe that is. And we already saw what Ezreal can do in terms of damage. And imagine what it could do if you hit your skill shots as well. So excited to see Deft on the champion.
Braum banned away, and it's met by SANDBOX banning away the Nocturne and the Olaf. And we've seen a lot of times in the LCK, some teams have drafted the Ezreal as the primary backline, like a giant missile turret laser, as the rest of the team comp is just designed to charge right into the heart of the opponents, and Ezreal just picks off the lone survivors. So I guess that's what the Olaf and the Nocturne bans are mostly targeted at. And now Galio banned away by Kingzone.
Yeah, Galio taken away. Very common support nowadays, and not going to be allowed to go alongside the Sivir. Instead, we will see Shen here returning for the side of Joker. He's 3-1 on the pick so far, and after being denied his Thresh and Galio, he goes to his third most played in the Shen. So taking it over to the side of Kingzone, you see a bunch of the other big junglers banned away. You go with the Jarvan, and then round it out with a very common and solid Urgot, so can't really complain about that.
And now on the side of SANDBOX, they're going to have something come in that wants to answer against the Urgot. And if I know Korea, it's probably going to be Aatrox. Yeah, there it is.
What was that? What was his name?
You know, interestingly, enough. Actually, no, I guess Silas would be quite bad here. But there's not many picks available when you let it get to this point and Jace is banned away. Urgot, still the king of top lane on this patch. He's not quite gone from us yet, but he will be most likely in 9.4. So what we could be witnessing right now, Valdez, is the end of times for Urgot. A farewell to this matchup in top lane. Urgot versus Aatrox.
You think so?
I do. I do think that
I hope so.
The nerfs are a little bit too much. Although I said that about Aatrox, and here we are.
Yeah,
so.
here we remain with Urgot Aatrox for now. As I would be happy to see Urgot. That's the one guy that's kind of left over from that old super tanky meta. I mean, you see Sion occasionally still, but maybe after Urgot gets nerfed a bit, they'll just rotate to Sion, and we can all just wait for the next patch. Not 100% sure. Let's take a look at the compositions here, LS.
Yeah. Urgot, J4, LeBlanc, Ezreal, and Tahm Kench. So they are still trying to do what I talked about. The other 4 members, except for Ezreal, are going to try to go in, damage a lot of champions. Ezreal will pick off the lone survivors like it's a zombie apocalypse. And then on the flip side, the other team composition, it's taking a little bit. There we go. Ryze, Sivir, Shen, Lee Sin, and then Aatrox. So very mid-rangey type of team comp. It's going to spike predominantly around the 2-item mark. And this one is looking to always go in and go hard. Even though there's some scaling components inside of the team, that's not what they're trying to utilize it for.
Yeah, so we'll have to wait and see how they do jumping into the Rift for game number 2. And here we go. Onto the Rift already. Notice that pawn has Kleptomancy. He just got a sack of gold. I didn't miss that. Caster, by the way, gets on in there and distorts on top of Dove and just picks him up a control ward to start the game. So a very nice feel when you're rocking double Klepto to get a start like that.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the best start feelings that you can ever have.
It's so good.
Pawn recalls really quick. And it looks like TusiN and Deft might be looking to try to get some sort of an early advantage, which might mean that it could be a leashless Jarvan 4 on the right-hand side.
What do you think about this variation of Thomas?
What variation? The Glacial Augment?
Yeah.
Definitely think that it is much more trade-focused against the Shen, who you do assume will likely try to taunt onto you, and so with the Q and the auto attacks, you can definitely stick to him a little bit harder than you normally would be able to, and it opens up some kill pressure.
Yeah, we'll have to see how aggressive he goes exactly down here. This is one of the weaknesses of any kind of melee support against Tahm, but even the Shen as well can be quite annoying, and it looks like TusiN definitely a guy who will want to take advantage of that. Cuzz giving OnFleek a bit of his own medicine. You'll remember that OnFleek on the Camille did this exact thing, where he went in and stole the blue, but this time you'll notice that Joker is going to come up here as the support and try to mess with him. Forces a smite, probably would have used it anyway, but just scanning around for that ward, not going to see much, and we'll return to the Scuttle crowd.
Some pretty heavy trades actually coming out in mid lane. Both parties do have teleport available. And usually when you have Klepto LeBlanc, you go for the Frostmancy, so interesting to see that that is not the item of choice, but we might see it post first recall. We have seen that quite a few times now in the LCK.
Yeah.
2 minutes until Infernal is coming up as Cuzz makes his way over to his blue. Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Gonna go for the trade here as OnFleek wants none of that. Okay, he's like, get me the hell out of here. I would rather not fight you, and Cuzz says thank you for the leash. I'll just take that one away.
He ends up starting the Gromp right away, and now everyone knows what camps OnFleek has up. And this was a problem in game number 1 with the Camille, is when you are on a jungler like this who wants to make some sparks fly, you can see those pings from J4. He's saying to his teammates, hey, he can be going anywhere here. Everyone on Kingzone right now, they're playing with map hacks.
Feels pretty good to know where LCK is as well. Not going to be going for any ganks necessarily right now unless TusiN and Deft do something insane. But yeah, it's going to be farming it out up towards Bertha, the right side Gromp, of course, our good friend. Whereas Cuzz going to be going for his own Raptors here.
Are you good friends with her?
Yeah, I mean, we've known her for a long time. She's been around on the scene for quite a while. Do you remember when Gromps were put in the game? Do you remember which year that was?
Ooh,
Let's test your caster knowledge, by the way.
Oh.
As Taunt comes in, and okay, may have that first gank from the Lee Sin, making his way down. Q gonna land on the TusiN, but immediately that gray health comes in, and Deft just firing away. As now Pot flashing forward. He wants to get the chains down. And here we go. First blood will go the way of Cuzz on the J4.
And that's a nice first blood pickup. And look at LeBlanc. She even got a gold satchel as well. And now
she's rolling in it now.
Yeah, bottom lane's off to a fantastic start here for Deft. He's already up 11 CS now. Ghost does still have the teleport, but the Kleptomancy obviously doing quite a lot as the Devourer came in here on this replay, spits Deft out. As OnFleek, he lands the Q onto TusiN, but then it's a full-on retreat, and you can just see they don't flash away in time, and which is very surprising. So a kill ends up being handed over. And so far in this game, Kingzone is going a lot better for them than it did in game number 1. Massive gold advantage. It's only 5 minutes. Yep. Oh, man.
And, well, checking the brush now, but as you mentioned, OnFleek saving his flash for this moment, it seems. Not going to end up using it in the end, as Summit does get the initial push in the top side. Will help out to secure the Scuttle Crab.
And now we're just going to have a recall coming in from SANDBOX, and the Infernal Drake has to be a very high priority for both teams right now. And TusiN just coming in there, getting himself a Targon stack with the cannon, making the most out of the gold for his team. And it's not going to be a Frostmancy LeBlanc.
Yeah, at least not yet. I mean, this is one of those timings you were talking about where you would consider it, but he is just not going to pick that one up here. Just enjoying his Klepto life for now. You can see once he distorts forward, can immediately try to get a couple of the Klepto stacks with that rune. And Ryze early on isn't doing too much, so you can just abuse that, especially no phase rush. Took Aftershock this time around to Dove.
Really surprised right there that Joker didn't try to go for a taunt onto TusiN, because you knew that Ezreal had no HP and no mana, and he would be channeling his recall. Feels like a little bit of a lost opportunity right there from Joker. Dove not wanting to let this wave crash into the turret as Pawn channels a recall, and Jarvan is on the right-hand side of the map. So maybe LeBlanc just wants to get the recall really quickly, come back to lane with full Corrupting Potion stacks, try to get priority going, and maybe they're going to try to attack the blue buff and consider it as an objective. You can see that Deft and TusiN, they're also looking to get bottom priority. And so if you get priority in mid and bottom, you can definitely advance into that blue side jungle and look to steal it away from Dove.
Looking for Dove here. He's going for that Realm Warp. There's no interrupt on that one, so just a True Shot Barrage to the back. Just a nice little thank you present, farewell present, saying get out of here. And he will get out of here. He does not have his TP. He has to back right now, and that means that Kingzone as a team can take the blue buff. They could consider some other objectives. But they'll take that one for now. We'll see if they start that Infernal. Doesn't look like it just yet.
Oh, OnFleek. Very close to... He didn't like LeBlanc. That was
saying it's
not
just
a big
worth
fan.
it
Yep.
to go for the kick. Doesn't do much. Just getting her away from there. As, yeah.
We're going to get a Scuttle Crab here as Cuzz just going to get themselves the first Drake of the game now. And it is an Infernal, which is absolutely massive.
Yeah. Feels like game number 1, except a lot more.
980 for Dre 4.
Yeah, just a lot more one side of the team that actually picks up the Infernal. As, yeah, it's going to be pretty huge. Once again, the Ezreal on blue side picks it up, so it feels very nice for him.
Ryze in mid lane with a little bit of a CS lead, but the LeBlanc Kleptomancy certainly helping keep everything stable. And just look at the gold score at the top. We're not even 10 minutes in yet, and it's almost a 2,000 gold lead in favor of Kingzone. And tier 2 boots picked up for Pawn. Very, very defensive, control-y itemization coming out for him, which means that the LeBlanc is not going to be dealing damage for a very, very long time.
Yeah, maybe just feels like, okay, I went for the teleport instead of a cleanse here against Ryze. Maybe I just need this extra bit of tenacity to make sure that I can survive just in case any ganks come my way. And that he will. No ganks coming his way just yet, but happy to be defensive in that manner.
Almost managing to get about 75% of the plate on the mid-tier 1. As realistically, so far, Kingzone's only real option to get plates is going to be in bottom, but that's going to end very soon. Once Ghost can get another recall, that should be able to put an end to the Ezreal pushing for the plates. As Tahm Kench looks to roam somewhere. Now, he does have the Abyssal Voyage active. Deft is completely safe down here in bottom lane right now.
Enjoying his 1v2. Doesn't need a Tahm Kench for this, but Joker's going to make him want it, but nothing really happens here, as he is going to pick up that cannon, in fact.
Unfortunate timing there for Joker, and really that's sort of been how I have been feeling for today. There's, in the Galio game, a lot of mistimed knockups, some mistimed taunts. Definitely seems like he's performing a little bit off today with some stuff.
Him and OnFleek certainly kind of wondering what's going on there, as neither of them really playing to the same level as they did in the first round robin for sure. And now Cuzz just waiting in the wings here for a potential gank onto OnFleek or Dove, but nobody going too far forward. Another plate goes his way as Shen is the one that goes for a recall. Is level 6, but just more and more, and he's even going for the kill now. Stand United comes in. TusiN gonna get him to safety, but made that real scary and forces that big ultimate away from Shen.
And this is really big. They're trying to hang on for Ghost's teleport to come up, and at that point, that's when Ghost is gonna be able to permanently wave clear the lane and have control and stabilize it until the plates fall off down there. Meanwhile, mid lane, Pawn with that blue buff, trying to dish out as much pressure as possible, as Dove, likewise, trying to hang on for his teleport as well, calling in OnFleek to try to help with lane pressure. Rascal trying to collapse down to say, hey, you guys can't actually do this. You're locked into this lane.
Yeah. Cuzz and Rascal come in as the enforcers of the mid lane, saying, no, you're not going to get that good back. I am helping my buddy out here in the mid lane as well. And so everybody, once again, just going to return after that nice little map movement from the side of Kingzone. And it's now Cuzz saying, hey, maybe I could sneak away this Rift Herald. In the meanwhile, the control ward does come down, though, looking for that red.
Oh.
Would have been much closer if we were on a much earlier patch for the Ezreal, but not quite the way it is, as Joker just spectating here.
He thought the way that they took that down was fantastic.
Yeah, he was giving that a 10 out of 10, as his bottom lane is still struggling a bit. Finally, that Infinity Edge does come in here for Ghost. Took him quite a while, it felt. And, I mean, we're 20 CS ahead now for Deft, who also has Klepto, and 3 plates on top of that. So really, really enjoying his time in the bot lane so far.
Well, plates are still alive for 45 seconds as Deft is trying his best to keep chipping away. And the Rift Herald, I'm always so surprised when it's not utilized extremely quickly to convert into turret plate, as there's
Swap
almost,
it in mid right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Pop it right down into mid lane, chip off 2-3 plates, that's fine. Because there's almost no situation where you can use it to get meaningful objective control. And they're going to use it down here. Maybe going to be able to get the 2 plates here. That would be a massive pickup.
They're going to get it as she slides on in, playing a little ice hockey right there, as Deft going to pick up 770 gold plus everything else. He's got 6,300 already. He's more than 1,300 more than anyone on the side of SANDBOX.
Whoa!
As, well, maybe this time he went a little bit too far. As, well, we do have the nice domination as Cuzz going to say hello from the jungle. Never mind, it was a bait all in the end, as Dove also going to gift his life over. I don't know what to say, as SANDBOX get baited into that one and give an extra free kill, and all the gold goes the way of Kingzone and Deft.
Yeah, and this game is going dramatically different from game number 1. Kingzone are in the driver's seat. They're making things happen, and SANDBOX seem to be panicking with some of the decisions that they're making. Wow, Ezreal's damage.
Deft is just a monster.
Trinity Force 2 to boot.
Yeah.
He's saying that he wants to really just drive it home. An Iceborne Gauntlet would be really powerful against the SANDBOX team composition. What the Trinity Force is really trying to say is that he wants to keep accelerating his damage and try to take advantage of his current standing in the game. Look at this, the arcane shift forward, knowing that Cuzz is right on the horizon, baits Joker into the taunt. OnFleek is on fire, basically, as he is running for his life, as Dove channeled in the teleport, can't cancel it anymore.
Yeah. As everything's on fire for the side of SANDBOX, as Kingzone feeling real cool right now, as, you know what? This is the game you give the MVP to Deft. He dominates the bottom lane alongside of TusiN, but he's really the one landing every single Mystic shot, getting all the plates down there. He makes the plays, makes the baits, gets his team so far ahead. This is the game he wins MVP, not the last one. Probably should have been TusiN. But either way, it looks like at this rate, if he continues to be this dominating on his signature Ezreal play, that, by the way, they gave to him. They had an opportunity to pick him in the first round of the draft, as it was a first pick LeBlanc from the side of Kingzone. You know, you can't really say much else than that, as Kingzone essentially got everything they wanted.
Really like the delayed reactivation of the W before hitting the control ward there. Whoa!
It just never ends. He's unbelievably ahead now. As, you know, Ghost basically doesn't exist in this game on the Sivir.
Yeah, SANDBOX just simply can't play right now. Kingzone are everywhere. Really close.
Okay, trying to turn this one around as Summit getting in there. He's feeling real angry. OnFleek going to help out on the backside, but that's just about it. And the terror continues in the top lane.
Manages to land a taunt right there. Wow, Deft's damage.
You're playing with
that
fire.
Is fantastic
you can't
play.
Do that.
Oh, man.
Okay, just that's a very funny realm warp you got there, buddy, as Dove is in a lot of trouble here. Exhaust coming on in, but Summit trying to help out. Rascal really not that much damage on in here. Stand United, and Cuzz going to do the right thing and just give him away, but he's in trouble as well. As what is going on in this one? OnFleek going to take him out, and hold your horses as Ghost has to flash himself, but 2 kills in the mid lane as Kingzone getting maybe a little bit too frisky on SANDBOX. Yeah,
they're getting very over-aggressive in mid lane for no reason. All that they need to do is let Deft do his thing.
Buy the bus ticket,
yeah,
you know, just
ride the bus at this point.
Confirm your destination, okay, or we're going to 2-0 town. Just get on the Deft bus and just sit down and enjoy the ride. Why do you got to sit in mid lane and, you know, go for these fancy plays and try to kill him?
And SANDBOX, I mean, very quick to capitalize on these errors. Summit, that was like a Michael Jordan jump on the Aatrox to get in there on mid lane.
Really
We're going to see it one more time, I think. You can see Summit running up river. Pawn just going way too far. Aftershock was still there, and OnFleek, look at that. Summit able to arrive right at the end there and just clip Pawn. And then after this, Cuzz, he wanted a little bit more with Rascal. And Dove, he wasn't really interested in what they were selling as he was able to get out here with the help of Summit. Yeah, just gets locked up right there by the Aatrox, and you can see OnFleek now running down along with the Stand United. And this is where Deft, if you're in solo queue, you start question mark pinging your teammates.
Yeah.
Not quite sure why he can't just get the top tier one. So these are really, really big recoveries.
Look at the coach, he's losing his mind. He's like, please, bless RNG, can we do it?
Well, unfortunately for SANDBOX's RNG, an Infernal Drake is coming up in 35 seconds. And Deft has his flash available to him. Whereas the Summoners on SANDBOX's side, not looking too hot. They do have the flash on the Shen, which is a really key champion for this upcoming fight if he can manage to land some side of a taunt. But all the Summoner spells on the side of Kingzone are up and ready for this. Okay, well.
Ghost, what is going on? It's the 2v2. The Ignite is ticking too. As Ghost, he's not going to die. Thanking that Ignite nerf right now. As, you know, keep it coming, says Deft. Who's next? I want more SANDBOX on my plate right now. As Lee Sin can't stand up to him, and neither can Joker on the Shen.
This is definitely the Deft show. It's here in game number 2. Infernal Drake still hasn't been started. They are making their way to it right now, and then Deft will probably fly down the bottom lane and pick up the CS unless they opt to give it to Rascal instead.
Yeah, well, Infernal is free after that damage. As Pawn, where are you going? I just want to see the gold right now on Deft, as he is already at 2.5 items. Keep in mind his Trinity Force, not Iceborne Gauntlet, as you were touching on earlier. He's really trying to drive it home, going for the home run.
He has the Bilgewater Cutlass right now as well for added peeling or slows that he can add down. And right now, he might not have tier 2 boots yet, but he'll probably pick them up relatively soon as he's flying around the map. And now the game is going to hit a point where mobility and stuff does become important. He does have some of the MS from the Trinity Force. Unfortunately for Kingzone, 4 minutes, another Infernal is coming up.
He was blessing RNG, but that was the last thing he wanted to bless, as he's getting none of it right now. We may have that triple Infernal dream for our Ezreal. Deft feeling real good. He's now got 3 items, by the way. At 21 minutes, has 10,000 golds. Just wait for it. It's going to cross that mark right here at 21:28. And, wow, that's an insane amount of gold for this time. As, okay, here comes the entire team. Looking for someone, trying to hop on into Ghost, as he doesn't have his flash right now. He's going to go down. Joker's all alone over at the Baron. That's going to be 2. Thankfully, Dove can save himself and OnFleek, but they're just saving their lives for now, as Kingzone are dominating this game.
And Cuzz still has his smite available. They are turning their attention to the Baron, and it should be near impossible for Lee Sin to actually manage to stop this. You can see how careful he's being as he approaches. Deft says, you know what, guys? I'll take care of this.
Oh,
you just get the Baron.
There it is! Oh, man, what a play. Somebody give this guy a cookie. He's looking for more damage. Trying to trade it back is Dove. Aftershock is a good rune, but Deft, he's got a better champion with him with the Tahm. Kench going to save his life, and down goes the Baron. As, there you have it. Baron goes the way of Kingzone as the domination continues, LS.
Yeah, and this game is all but over at this point. We have a 7,000 gold lead for Kingzone, 2 Infernal Drakes in a massively fed Ezreal. We'll just take a look at it one more time. Teleport channeling on Ghost as he's trying to get that control ward. Tahm Kench coming in with Cuzz, and then because Ghost isn't able to get away from this, the Stand United was coming in, but Shen ended up getting locked up. Everyone went down. They used the Ryze ultimate to get away, but then the Baron is all too easy for them to take.
Zippity-doo-dah. Picks up another easy kill on the backside, and then Dove says, well, I have Aftershock. Maybe I can do something on the trade, but absolutely nothing as the fiasco continues here. Now Kingzone in a little bit of an awkward spot. We'll see if Dove can try to get someone in there, but now actually Kingzone turning it around. Ghost is going to be able to flash that one and dodge away. He's basically just playing Dodge Simulator right now. A little bit of dodgeball in this one because he hasn't been doing too much attacking as the entire side of Kingzone are just rolling through them.
And they managed to get the mid inhibitor turret as Pawn was messing with OnFleek the entire time. Deft and TusiN turn their attention up to top lane, maybe looking to raise the top tier 2 turret, push on to the top tier 3, and then recall into Infernal, unless SANDBOX decides that the time is now, in which case the game will end promptly.
OnFleek looking for a use in this game. Hasn't been able to do much, and I mean, we could just sit back and just make a highlight reel of Deft's plays right now. That's basically what this game has been. It's a breath of fresh air for Kingzone fans as they were looking for this for a long time. And he is here to play as now SANDBOX finally going to put up a defense at this top inhibitor. They actually do keep it alive just for now.
Notice that when this Tahm Kench devours an ally and he turns completely purple, he looks like the, is it the Rice Krispies Dracula? The purple?
What?
The purple count?
We never had those in my neck of the woods. The what? The Dracula Rice Krispies?
The Dracula Rice Krispie. It's like the Count, or I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Bail me out.
Count Dracula? That's his name.
I don't know what it's. You know what?
I wish I had an answer for you, but
someone will tweet it at us.
I only had the regular ones. And Rice Krispies.
What was your
cereal.
favorite cereal?
Oh, you're talking about the cereal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've seen that before. I thought you meant the Rice Krispies treats. I never.
Oh, okay.
Maybe Count Chocula or something like that, like
Is
the
that what it
chocolate
is?
one. I'm not sure.
All right. Well,
you can. We're gonna have a lot of time in between these two series as
this is really weird.
Kingzone are just gonna 2-0 them. It looks like.
They really wanted to utilize the Baron buff duration and
Okay.
elected out of an Infernal.
Well, here we go. We got a 1-on-1 and a 4-on-4. Is Cuzz trying to just create space for Deft, and that's exactly what happens as Urgot is also a good champion in the front line. And Deft just says, hello. This fight's still going on, by the way. OnFleek is alive. But, you know, who's got the better dashes? Lee Sin or how about an Ezreal?
Oh, man.
Oh, no! He doesn't get it. OnFleek gets away. Rubbed himself with grease before this game as Lee Sin.
No.
Oh, no. The chain's going to miss as well. He's going in.
Oh.
I'm looking at the minimap.
Oh, man.
Okay, he did go down.
All
okay.
right.
As Thomas Kent's going to say, thank you very much. That's my kill. Slaps him right at the end.
They're actually going to back off and just go for the Infernal.
Wow. No chances taken here by Kingzone. As if their Ezreal isn't strong enough. How about a third Infernal?
I'm just actually curious what the third Infernal gives him in terms of
Yeah,
bolstering his stats.
Can we just tell the observers to just get on top of that Ezreal and take a look at his stats? No? Tahm Kench?
Tahm Kench.
Okay,
Tahm Kench got 7 AD. So.
Oh, great. That's what I wanted to see.
Taking a look at this fight, you can see SANDBOX trying to bring the fight to them, but Deft in the backline, able to just have free damage for the most part. Dove ends up getting locked down right there by Rascal.
TusiN got 2 kills.
Yeah. What happens?
Let's just watch this entire
this
fight.
is
Let's
right
just
here.
watch the whole thing.
Look at the real spectator. She's right there. She's watching.
Ooh.
Bertha. That was really unfortunate. Very good Zanya's timing by Pawn. Then right there, OnFleek managed to get away. It was so close, though. It actually...
Oh! He dodges with the Q. But then what I don't get is he goes back in after the chains. He's like, no, I can get the kill. So
yeah, right
chains
here.
miss.
Chains miss,
Say,
and
okay.
then Lee Sin... Huh?
Okay. Has a teleport ability. Haven't seen that one yet, but new age stuff here on 9.3.
Well, Kingzone looking to push in. for the Doom push. And I can't imagine a scenario, at least since in the ground. Look at him. He's in the grave as he's running.
Oh, man. Fear Beyond Death. See you later. He wants a Fear Beyond Death. OnFleek's like, get me out of here.
Something's going on. On really likes OnFleek.
Okay, he lives. GG. Kingzone take the 2-0 in game 2. Really sending a message, you know, all jokes aside. SANDBOX kind of just fell over and went limp in that one. That was just, oh, man. Kingzone really bringing it to them in game number 2. Props to them saying, you got us in round 1, but round 2 is ours.
Yeah, and Deft was pristine this series. In game number 2, he was making Ezreal's Q look like a point-and-click ability.
Yeah.
That was not a skill shot. His R was not a skill shot. These are his Ezreal play, definitely one of the best in the world. And in game 2, like you were saying, Kingzone, they just sort of fell over. They didn't seem to really have an idea of what they wanted to do. OnFleek on the Lee Sin again, looking for reckless plays. They got baited into a lot of plays by Kingzone, most notably the Ezreal Arcane Shift one in the bottom, which really got the ball rolling as well. And then after that, they had a small glimmer of hope in mid lane, weren't ever able to really recover. And as I was saying earlier, as the split continues to progress, SANDBOX, it's not necessarily that they're getting worse. It just seems like other teams are getting better faster.
Yeah.
And SANDBOX's edge of looking like an actual team. And what I mean by that is that a lot of the higher-end teams, except for Griffin, they don't look like they're moving in unison and with harmony. They sometimes often appear to have different ideas about what they want to do in certain team fights and map rotations. SANDBOX's edge is almost always that it looks like they were sort of on the same page. And as that progresses, continues to look less like the case.
Yeah, you know, up against other teams that are a little bit messy in the beginning of the season, you can say, you know, SANDBOX, they have a lot of mechanically skilled players that are great in solo queue, and they can win their lanes and win game. And, you know, when things are all flowing and they're, you know, they're all on fleek, you could say, everybody's happy and they play as a team. But now it's like Kingzone's getting better. Hama Life is getting better. Even Damwon, bit of a slump, but they played a lot of strong teams, and now they're coming back. Afrika, you know, able to take the win over SANDBOX. They're even looking good, even though right now they're at 3-6 in the standings. And makes you wonder where these teams are going to end up at the end of this season, because SANDBOX, they were 7-2 in the first round, but if they lose 7 games in a row or 9 games in a row, they're going to be down to 7-11. So you got to be careful. They could eventually miss playoffs unless they turn something around here.
What are they going to buy there?
At 7-Eleven? Oh, I'm a fan of the Big Gulp. I used to, you know, when I was a kid, I used to do some crazy things on Saturday nights.
Would you mix them up?
In between my World of Warcraft sessions, you know, 10 hours in, I'm like, guys, I need a Big Gulp. I'm going to 7-Eleven. I would go there, and I would, you know, they had those marshmallows for the coffee. You would put those on top of the Big Gulp. And you just have that sugar rush that keeps you going into day 2 of your rating. You never used that strat, LS?
No.
That was a big one for me.
That's a big one.
Had some crazy nights, you know, back in the day. As it's really great to see all these smiles on the side of Kingzone, especially on Pawn, because
is that a keyboard? It looks like a table.
What?
Daehyun, what is he carrying? Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I didn't see it. Must
like
I would assume it would be a keyboard. I don't know what else he's carrying. Maybe I don't know.
I can't see.
Yeah, they're gone now.
He's already
gone
departed
now,
the stage.
Yeah. They're going into the back to do their hours of, you know, interviews and after game stuff that doesn't always get seen by some of the fans here.
How long does that actually take?
It's a long time. You got to do press interviews. You got to stick around, do
Tahm?
visual interviews.
That's Count Chocula or whatever it is. Twitter's gonna let us know every time he eats an ally.
Okay.
And this was just really fantastic. SANDBOX, they were constantly trying to force the issue, and then Kingzone were punishing. And you know what? Interestingly enough, that's the same story as game number 1. And look at this. Ezreal baiting it, knowing that they could turn this around.
I see what you mean about the purple.
You see it?
Yeah.
It's pretty good. You'd have much more of a...
I'd eat that cereal.
Yeah, would you?
Yeah.
I would too. Absolutely. And here is where Kingzone decided that they weren't just going to let Deft have an easy time. As in mid lane, they were trying to get the kill onto Dove, but Summit able to come in with a teleport and try to be a savior twice in a row. And it feels really bad for him. And both of these games, he played fantastically in his role and what he was needing to do for SANDBOX, but unable to really help out all that much this game. And interestingly enough here, it says that Ghost has Flash, but don't think that he had it at this point in time. But I noticed that in the initial replay too, he had Flash. And then this was just a fantastic snipe by Deft with the True Shot Barrage.
Yeah, lines it up. Even Lee Sin can't get away from that one. It's just funny how Ghost on the Sivir the entire game is just like doing absolutely nothing from so far behind.
He just fell super, super far behind down in the bottom lane. The Ezreal accelerating way too far ahead. And this is it. This is all that she wrote right here in the final push.
Deft finally missed a Q there just because he Zhonya's it.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. Ghost just sitting in the back. Not much else he can do except sit in the fountain as Sivir was never given any time to get online in this one. 32,000 as it's not going to be more than the enemy team combined, but it's still triple two of his teammates right there. So certainly the Deft show, and I think we all know who the MVP of game number 2 is going to be this time.
Yeah, I'm not totally impressed here.
It's Jarvan.
Yeah.
As no, Deft should be able to pick this one up pretty easily.
That'll be a double MVP.
Yeah, we'll just be talking with Deft as I'm sure Minikim is going to have a fun time talking to Deft. He's not the most talkative guy in the interviews, but definitely has his fun. Yeah, so we are going to be getting to that interview in just a moment. And should be a pretty long break, about 50 minutes after the interview, maybe 45, 50 minutes. It's not our longest, as game number 1 did go to about 50, 51 minutes. So even though game number 2 is pretty short, shouldn't be that crazy of a break. We've had some crazier ones as we were already calling him out as the MVP, but we had to get the official word as Deft does pick it up and goes up to 900 MVP points as well, which ties Chovy up at first place.
And, I mean, he definitely deserves the MVP for sure in this game. And I'm curious to see what he's going to have to say or what type of questions are actually going to be asked to him, because you have to be feeling so good after a game like this. Everything was just going his way.
It was just funny as well that his opponent was playing Sivir and she was trying to kill a control ward with allies in front of her, but she still died because Abyssal Voids comes in with Jarvan who flashes on her and she doesn't have her flash. I guess he should have used her ult earlier to get out of range, and that would have been the only thing to save her. But either way, Deft the big MVP. I'll hand it over to TusiN for the translation.
Thank you very much, guys. This is the first interview of today, and we're going to be having a solo interview from Kingzone for today's MVP interview. Kingzone, when it comes to Kingzone's victory, you are the main character all the time. And you tied up with Chovy on first place for MVP, so how do you feel right now? To start off, I mean, we really had a bad performance up against SANDBOX in the first round. But having a really big victory today and a revenge feels really nice. I think you're smiling today. I guess you're feeling really happy. Yeah, I think so. But game 1, you blind-picked Xayah, and SANDBOX kind of brought some poke competition. So how were you able to play against that? Xayah is not a good pick against a poke composition, but I believe that our players in top or jungle or mid can do stronger. And my pick was about the late game, you know. In the late game, I can perform better. And well, the players on the top really did okay. So yeah, I think the game did well. And well, SS Reaper is getting buffed in patch 9.4, so which probably indirectly buffs Xayah as well. Are you looking forward to that? Well, I'm confident in any kind of crit AD carry, so I think that's the good news for me for sure. In game 1, there was a highlight over here. You showed a great teamwork with TusiN, so let's go through it together. So in the Dragon team fight, what was going on over here? So we got the Dragon real quick, and we were trying to open team fight, but well, I actually wasted my flash over there, so it could be a hard fight for me, but luckily we were the one winning the game in the end. And over here, I think Pawn actually did really well, and he kind of gets salty when I don't compliment him, so this is a comment for him. And your teamwork with TusiN is getting better and better. Do you really feel it, like getting better? Well, both me and TusiN have a lot of experience, so we don't really need any extra effort to improve our teamwork, you know? I think our long career has a lot of synergy together. You know, we don't even need a lot of calls. I think it's really good. TusiN was so close to getting the MVP, so is there any comment for it? I think I'm getting too much MVP currently. But I mean, all the 5 players are doing so well and doing their role so well. So, Pawn, you heard my word, right? Looking forward to seeing more of a teamwork from TusiN and Deft, and that was Deft and Pawn's parents in the fan sits. In game 1, Ezreal was being a little bit annoying to me, so I wanna make a revenge on him today in game 2. And let's take a look at your ultimates in game 2 right here. A lot of poke, and then big snipe. Just took down OnFleek with your ultimate. Well, after that situation, you kind of missed your ultimate on Listen. Did you check that? Well, my biggest goal every day is to end the game, so I was just hitting the turrets. But after that, Pawn finally took down Listen. Any compliments for Pawn for that too? Pawn did so well. Deft, you were the MVP of today, but your next opponent will be Hanwha Esports. I think Kingzone is definitely in an upswing, so how are you gonna prepare for the second round? And what's your goal? I haven't set my goal yet. I'm taking every game at a time, so I just want to win every upcoming matches. So this will be the end of the interview with Deft from Kingzone, and I'm gonna pass it back to our casters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ji-sun, as always, for that wonderful translation. And Deft, not the most talkative, but I loved his part about salty Pawn. And then later on, giving him the compliments, yeah, Pawn, you played pretty well. As, yep, up at the top, we have a bit of a rivalry going. Deft versus Chovy. Who's going to pick up that first MVP, first place MVP of LCK Spring? We'll have to wait and see.
Well, you know what? We are going to have to wait and see later on today, though.
Yeah, what's that?
Can Jin Air manage to pick up a win?
I mean,
that's the highlight.
You know?
Right? They're throwing the MVP points and the standings onto the screen right now, but this is the big question here.
Well, I do want to point out, before we do get into that, that SANDBOX with that loss does go below SKT. Yep. I feel like that's the most important thing to note, as they also draw themselves closer to Kingzone, Damwon, and Hanwha Life. So SANDBOX, as I said before, you don't turn your ship around quick, you're going to find yourself at 6th place before we know it.
And, I mean, this is a really important win for Kingzone as well, as they are one of the teams that does look like they are continuing to get better as the split progresses. They had a very shaky draft in game number 1, but did outplay SANDBOX, and you have to give them credit for that. And in game number 2, I mean, that was really one-sided.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, Deft is just kind of smurfing on them, especially after game number 1. Just turning it around. Gets 2 MVPs tonight. But, guys, as LS was talking about, Gen G up against Jin Air is going to be the second match of the night. Gen G, can they get another win over Jin Air in what might be a long series, or can Jin Air maybe pick up their first win here in the LCK Spring? That'll be coming at you in about 45 minutes, so we'll see you then.
You take me higher when I feel low, make my world brighter when I'm alone. I keep on rolling, oh, with your fuel. You're like my gasoline that makes my dream come true. 'Cause this is the beginning.